Hey there, cats and kittens. Marboro Man from Wham Radio and New Wham TV, because we have music people coming right at you from beautiful downtown Berwyn, Illinois, with America's favorite co-host, Miss Anarchist.
Hey guys, this is Anarchist coming to you from the dark side of the moon here on Wham Radio, because we do have a mutiny, people. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about globalism and globalization and what that means in relation to what world communism is here on Wham Radio, guys.
Well, folks, as a reminder, we always want to remind people that all thoughts and opinions expressed on Wham Radio are not necessarily the thoughts and opinions of top-of-the-line productions, Outer Half Ministries, or any of its sponsors, affiliates, or anyone that has anything to do with any of this. This is always just for entertainment purposes only. And back to the show.
Alright, so we're going to talk about world communism and these terms that they like to use. They call it globalism, globalization, and we just want to, clear some confusion up about what all these different terms mean. So
what it is actually, because you are going to probably be hearing these terms thrown around by some of our rulers, leaders of the, U.S., like Lori Leftfoot and J.B. Pillager. So they're going to be all proud about it, and they're going to say, oh, I'm a globalist, and Chicago is going to be a globalist city, and we're going to be global citizens, and that way, we're just going to follow the rules of the world. And they may even entice you with something like, oh, well, narcotics are legal, but hey, guess what? In other parts of the world, so is child molestation. So that's what they mean when they say, I want a nice, futuristic global city, society, Chicago, or it's like nice on the outside, but of course shady on the inside and all seedy, and so they can get away with whatever they want to continue their agenda.
Okay, so let me just transition you guys over for a bit. So in 1943, they coined the term globalism. That was the very first time that the word globalism was ever used, was in 1943. And let's just look up exactly what globalism is. I actually pulled up some different pages so we can actually look at a couple of these different terms. So globalism refers to various systems with a scope beyond the merely international. So they're looking at, the entire world as a whole thing rather than, international. And it sounds, all honky-dory, especially with this Joseph Nye, this guy. He is the head owner and writer for the Globalist magazine. And I did a little bit of research on this guy. He went to Harvard University, had gone to a couple of Ivy League schools. This guy is supposed to be
basically the world's leading authority on globalism. And incidentally, he's an expert in the coronavirus field.
Oh, yeah. This guy has so many specialties. And we'll get around to him.
I don't know what it is.
We'll get around to him in a bit, because he's got quite a few things in his professional portfolio.
Right.
Okay, so globalization is the process of interaction and integration among people, companies, and governments worldwide. So globalization is the expansion of globalism.
So it gets bigger.
It gets bigger, obviously.
But basically, one world government is what it's going for, and all these global citizens, which of course are really slaves of the government. So that whole 1984 Orwellian, father on the big screen telling people exactly what to do type of thing, it's very disgusting, and it's all pure communism, because there's no other way that they could possibly govern and control all over the entire world. It would have to be a goofy kind of communism to get people to get masses of people to follow a small group of people. That's basically, and do what they say. That's basically what it is, and control even the military. Think about that. I mean, they control the military with small, short sentences that just they goofily, blindly believe with some kind of, because their core belief system was that messed up from being, from the time that they were a child, and that warped. And unfortunately, that's been happening for the last 30 or more years in this country. I'm sure, everyone could say longer than that, but, you get the idea. I mean, it's obviously out of the box now. Gee whiz. Is it ever out of the box?
So let's look at the Globalist, the magazine, and look at what Uncle Joe, we're going to call him Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
What Uncle
Sounds
Joe
familiar.
says, yeah. It says, what is the different spheres of globalism versus globalization? What's the difference? So let's see what Uncle Joe, the leading authority on globalism, has to say about the difference between globalism and globalization. He says, globalism, at its core, seeks to describe and explain nothing more than a world which is characterized by networks of connections that span multi-continental distances. In contrast, globalization refers to the increase or decline in the degree of globalism. It focuses on the forces, the dynamism, and the speed of these changes. So,
basically a bunch of bullshit to make you believe that there's some sort of system or rhyme or reason to this whole thing, that it's supposed to be like a good thing, like everyone joining hands around the world and, buying each other a Coca-Cola, that type of thing. That's what it's supposed to make you believe. That.
Uncle Joe, he says, globalism is a phenomenon with ancient roots. Thus, the issue is not how old globalism is, but rather how thin or thick it is at any given time.
So we want to try to make it as thick as possible because it's a good thing. And if you use it in a negative or derogatory way, then that's a bad thing because it might lead to the thinning of globalism, which of course would lead to stateless societies, which means that people, might do terrible things like, think for themselves.
Or harvest rainwater violently.
Violently. We are excellent in this country, in America. Let's remember, folks, we are the best at doing things like recycling and reusing things. I mean, the resale business in this country is amazing right now. It always has been, actually. It's, used goods is a very big, hot market, and it's a total fallacy to believe that we need to build things to break in order to have job security. We don't need to do that, people. We all know better than that. We can have a company that builds, for example, televisions that could withstand a nuclear bomb blast and still work just perfectly fine. We certainly have the means and technology to do such a thing. And we ought to do such a thing. Because once everyone, when business or sales, plateaued and evened out, because, most people, don't need to replace the TV because they already have one, which, by the way, people will always buy more anyway because more people are born all the time, which means more customers are born. So you still always have to make them. But if you don't have to make them in such a big volume anymore, then all that means, as a business owner, I would be excited about that because, hey, that means I'd put more of my resources towards something else. Now I can do something else and provide more service to my customers. And now I really am wanted. Now my dollar is valued at a higher rate. Now my stuff goes up, in value. Now, my dollar that my business prints is now valued more, and it's more rare because you can get more stuff with it, so it's more coveted, more wanted, more yearned for. I hope I made that sound as good as it really is, which of course it is.
So let's look at Uncle Joe and his background portfolio really quick.
Yes, let's
Let's see, full bio.
do that.
Should be right here under his full bio. So, stupid spam pop-ups. Okay, so Uncle Joe Nye was dean of the John F. Kennedy School of Government. They have a school for government. Let's learn how to extort money from people with fancy words.
Yes.
Okay, at Harvard University from 95 to 2004. He was a director of Center for International Affairs and associate dean of Arts and Sciences. So, he's pretty well accomplished person. So it's not like, we're, discrediting his education and indoctrination. Basically, we're not discrediting his indoctrination at all. He went to a few Ivy League schools. So we're talking about Harvard, we're talking about Yale, we're talking about Princeton, we're talking about, all these high-standing schools, which we know, people from these schools are hand-picked, to represent us in these levels and offices of high ranking offices.
Of course, that's where they start with their initiations into all the secret societies and everything is at those schools. So, they can learn how to rule the world and, govern over us with psychotic, forcing techniques, things of that nature, just horrible, terrible things that unfortunately are taught to our, people who originally started out life with good intentions, and that turned into them promising to be good masters, but of course they still mean to be masters.
They still mean to be our masters.
That they have to rule us and enslave us for our own
good.
Because we don't know better and we can't take care of ourselves.
Can't take care of ourselves and make our own decisions. So, if we look up the definition of world communism, especially on Wikipedia.
And they want to establish a universal basic income.
Yeah.
Which we do as well, except the difference is in globalism, they control the universal basic income, which means they control every aspect of your life because it's totally public information to them. But in our system, which is, the American citizen system, the freedom, the true free market system where you print your own money, you control your own universal basic income. So you give yourself a universal basic income, and you control the value of that through your skills and through your negotiating talents, and you're always trying to be better at stuff so that you can gain more. You're more valued to other people. And that's the whole idea. But you control all that yourself rather than the state doing that. Okay, you only need the state really just to organize the military. It's all. That's it, really. And collect some tax. That's all you need it for. I mean, I'm not saying you can't use it for a good thing. I'm not saying it doesn't do good things or want to do good things. It was designed to do good things. It just isn't right now. And we need to take control of that for its own good so that we can save our own government from itself so that it doesn't hurt itself anymore because, thank you very much, government, for trying to keep us safe. We appreciate it, trying to, force things upon us so that we don't hurt ourselves or get sick or anything like that.
Right now, Mom and Dad need to be retired.
Exactly. Yes, they have time to go to the old folks' home now.
Time to put government Mom and Dad in the old folks' home.
We still want to make you feel important, though. With the titles and the labels that you have for yourself. Yep. And we'll still give you all your tax money and salaries and all that's fine with us, just fairly and equally. But this thing is that the important stuff we need to go back to doing ourselves. Like, we don't need your welfare anymore. We can do that on our own. Now, see, you can give yourself welfare. It's called giving yourself the universal basic income because you print your own money. So if you're hungry, you can go eat. But of course, you back it up right away anyway with whatever your skill or talent or your product or that you have in your hand is. You back up your own money with it. It's a very simple system, and you're paid off right away, immediately. You and the person you did the transaction with are both very happy. And that should make the government very happy because they can do that too, which means the military now has unlimited resources to do all kinds of crazy black ops all around the world. Just not here. Just go do it to some other country. We don't care about other countries anymore. We don't need them anyway. I don't want to be silly. I was being a little silly. I mean, I don't want to be mean to other countries or anything. Believe me, I'm not against any other country. I like a lot of them. But I like a lot of people in a lot of them, I just feel bad for them because they don't even have a choice. But two countries in the world do. That's the United States and Australia, because in our constitutions, we actually have a legal right to do this, to save our government from itself and to basically intervene and, give ourselves the power of like a private bank in order to prevent, to keep the government safe from communism, from terrorism, really, from terrorism, because it's being terrorized right now. And we can't trust what it's telling us because it's being threatened by bad people. So we have to stop that. It's being hurt, and we need to protect it from itself by, shutting down its decision-making process and taking over that for ourselves.
Yeah, we have to get power of attorney. We
can feed ourselves, in other words.
Got to get power of attorney on our government right now.
Kind of like that, exactly. Yeah, we can make our own food and smoke our own weed and everything else. We can let the government take a long rest for a while.
Okay, so really quick, I just want you guys to look at these definitions. For right here, it says World Communism is a form of communism which has an international scope. So I just want to flip back really quick to globalism. And it says it's a various system with a scope beyond merely international. So they just flip the words around a little bit, but they're literally describing the same thing. So world communism is the long-term goal of world communism is a worldwide communist society that is stateless, which is not true because communists require a very big state to exist, okay? It still requires a ruling class, and it still requires a slave class, usually, the workers.
Exactly. So the ruling class is like a monarchy or something like that, and then they're very small. A very small group of
usually
very fortunate people.
3% of the population.
Right, very special people. The chosen ones inherit.
They were elected.
Right. They don't want anybody else to inherit anything, so they want to break up all your families, and that's the majority of the population. They want you to be broken up and fighting with each other all the time, so that they can control you very easily and enslave you, so that they can get your wealth for themselves and control your whole population and further their own agenda. Not yours, not what's in your best interest, theirs. But they'll tell you it's for your own good, that it's really in your best interest. So what we're allowed to do in America by our constitutional right is to actually flip the script on that. And instead of the ruling class enslaving the rest of the population, in this case the population, our government is designed to kind of be like our slave. Okay, just look at it like that for the sake of understanding it more easily. So think about like the mayor of a town, for example, like the mayor of Chicago. Like she's our slave from the rest of the population of Chicago. So we enslave her, but then we put her in the position of power as the mayor, and we say, okay, but now you can tell us what to do. Okay, that's basically what makes this different, because ultimately we call the shots, but we just have that person in there to organize things, okay, which is really what we need our government. That's why they call it a public servant. That's why it's called public servitude. Okay, so it's public servitude, kind of like indentured servitude, except the opposite. It's public servitude. That's what our politicians really are supposed to be in America, and that's what we can legally do with our politicians in this American country, is put them into the public servitude, which means that that's why they only serve for a limited time, because they might not want to always be in servitude to the public, like a slave to the public kind of thing, you know. So they have to, but they might want to do that to do good for a while, you know. Or we might actually elect them against their, not against their will, but kind of against their will in a way, because we're electing them because we all really want them. So like public opinion puts them in a position to where they can't really refuse to be in that, because we think they're that smart, that they can organize stuff that great, you know. And again, really just defense of the neighborhood is all they need to, mayor would need to organize, really, you know, and just, you know, make sure that, you know, commerce flows freely with no interference. Right now the opposite is happening in a globalist city like Chicago, because it's trying to become a globalist, futuristic, supposedly progressive and advanced city. But of course, the opposite is true.
Yeah, we're tumbling hard.
We're tumbling very hard, and the economy is showing it. We can stop the tumble. We can stop it dead in its tracks, people. We can do this thing. I know it. You know it.
All we have to do is just stop listening to our kooky old government, because it's got dementia right now, and it doesn't know what it's doing, and it's been hurting itself in its thought processes. It's literally hurting itself every time it tries to think about doing something.
Remember, it took its own power away, because now it doesn't even want to print cash anymore.
Yeah.
Which is the only leverage
it doesn't even want to be
over
responsible for that either.
No, it doesn't want to be responsible for you because, or giving you money. No, mom and dad aren't going to want to give us money no more. They don't want to print it. It's too much trouble. And, you know...
Mom and Dad gave it over to a financial advisor.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Its name is the Fed.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of like the last. And besides that, the money they do have, and the digital money that will exist, is worth less than you are. In other words, you're worth more than the money is right now. Again, they have no leverage over us right now. Our politicians have no leverage over us right now with money, because your own hand can make more money out of thin air than they can print.
Exactly.
Does everyone understand that you have now the cards in your hand now? Okay, all their opposite spells that they cast with witchcraft, I guess they worked, but now let's take advantage of something that's the opposite of the way it normally would be. But of course, it's the great American experiment. Now it's time to put the hammer down and make it work. Once again, because this actually happened before in this country, and this is exactly what we're telling you is what we did last time to fix it. And it was fixed for about 100 years until they started fucking us over again.
And then they started siphoning our wealth out of the country.
And they're terrorizing us again. Now they're terrorizing our government, hurting our people, hurting our government officials,
the government won't
hurting
stop
our hospital officials and medical people.
The government,
hurting our medical staff.
Uncle fucker government has cancer.
It's sad, yeah.
It has cancer right now, and it keeps making more of itself.
Cancer, right.
The terrorist cancer.
It's like infected, right? Like government's infected. Think of it that way.
It's sick.
Right.
It's very sick right now, and we gotta tell government that we thank you for protecting us from all the stupid decisions that we could
be cured now.
Now we gotta put you somewhere safe where you could be safe and well taken care of.
Time heals all wounds.
Yeah. And maybe one day, government, you could come back to work. But right now, we the people, we thank you for, taking care of us. And now it's our turn to
handle a few things
to take care of you now. And you need to go
sweep up the mess that's kind of left behind here.
Because, Grandpa government keeps leaving the stove on.
Yeah, and then a hurricane happens, and no one wants to clean that shit up.
Yeah. And the only ones who can really clean it up are the people who live there,
Right.
That's their towns and stuff. People got to be able to do this themselves.
And exactly. And you can't debt your way out of it.
No.
But if you rebuild after losing everything, you've gained that much more. It's like doubling your money. And everybody, real quick before we go, we just want to give a special shout out to Jaci and happy birthday to Jaci. And the Resale shop has been a fantastic sponsor and helping youths and local people as a small local business. Remember, small local business truly is the backbone of American society. As American citizens, we must support them every chance that we can. And they certainly do help us and our charities. They really do a lot of charity work themselves.
Give them your money, give them your business.
Businesses, yes, exactly. They do a lot of interesting stuff, and just like we do at Top of the Line Production and Outer Heaven Ministries, our services, and Jaci's Resale Shop, our services never end. You can basically ask us to do just about anything, and if it's reasonable and within our power, we will make some kind of a deal with you, because we are that hell-bent on helping our fellow Americans.
So
if you
yeah,
can't find it anywhere else, you can find it at Jaci.
Happy birthday, Jaci.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jaci. You're looking great for being so young. It's amazing. Okay, everybody, well, thank you so much for being on listeners today for the show. And you have yourself a wonderful evening. Relax, kick back, and get excited, because we're all going to be able to print our own money soon and have the power of private banks and be our own business without any interference from anybody else. Because we have the power. We, the people, the American people. Because of the American People's Party, a private club which is represented by a card with your picture on it and birth date you will carry in your hand, along with a copy of the Constitution. That will be your protection. No one can fuck with you. That will be, I am an American citizen, and it will be unarguable, completely.
We have to stand our ground and exercise our rights as American citizens in this country. Because
just a little bit.
If we don't
not
exercise, just a little flexing, a little flexing. We're not asking for nothing extreme.
Very nice about it.
You know, if
we
you
can do this nicely,
want to protect
very easily.
If you want to protect freedom of speech, write a book. Go on the internet, make a blog.
Exactly.
You know, you don't have to go out there and protest. Just you know, make a newsletter. If you wanna protect the Second Amendment, you go out there and you go get yourself a gun. That's all you have to do. Little easy
More
things.
you real Americans doing stuff like that.
If you want to, work on your third,
baby
fourth
steps every day, people. Baby steps.
Third, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights, you got to exercise every single one of these rights.
1% at a time.
1% at a time until you get all your rights. You get all your rights in a row, people.
Exactly. Okay, folks. Well, good night. Marboro Man from Wham Radio and America's favorite co-host.
The Anarchist coming to you from the dark side of the moon.
Signing out.
And we'll see you all on the next show.